I don't know about you, but I am in the mood for a project, so come with me as I thrift for some furniture to flip. Alright, so here's my next project. I have some good ideas for it, I think. A few things I need to do before I even get started. These glass pieces on the top come out, and that's not ideal. And then I'm also thinking that I need to see if these are real wood, if I can even sand them down. And then I also don't love the bottom shelf, and I do see that there are some screws underneath, and I'm going to try to unscrew it and see if it's still stable and if it looks cute without the bottom shelf. It is very obvious that these need a good cleaning before I can even start on anything else. Now I want to see if I can get this bottom shelf off and if it's stable without it. So I've unscrewed all of the things that were holding this into place. So I should be able to just wiggle it free and we'll see how it's looking. Okay. So it looks like there will be a few holes I'll have to figure out how to fill if I decide to take off that bottom shelf, and let's see if it's sturdy without the bottom shelf. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cute without that bottom thing. Really modernizes it. Okay, so I got the shelves removed, and you can tell by the inside right here that these are not solid wood. So that leaves me wondering if I can even sand the wood at all. My guess is probably not, but I have to scuff sand it anyway if I'm gonna paint it, so I'm gonna try to sand it and just see where we get with it. Okay, now having sanded, I can now tell that these legs are actually solid wood all the way through. But it's these pieces right here that are veneer, and the bottom shelf I took off just had veneer, but the legs are solid. So that actually made it really easy to sand because I wasn't worried about sanding through anything, but I do need to be extra careful on these pieces right here. Ta-da! Ta-da! Keep going.
Red again.
Yeah.
More red.
You're putting on red?
Yeah.
That's nice. Good work. Pretty fun to see them side by side. Now I just need to fill in those holes where the screws are holding the bottom shelf in. Usually I think Bondo would have done a really good job with this, but because I am not planning to paint the legs and instead keep the wood coloring, I need to be careful what I use, and that's why I chose wood filler. Also, what the heck is up with the lady sleeping in the background? Now I'm gluing down the glass tops to make sure they can't move around. Okay, so these are officially all sanded. I also wood filled the little holes from the bottom shelf I took off, and that will all need to be sanded once it dries. And I also glued down the tops so that they won't come out, because before they just were removable. And if I'm going to cover it in concrete, I definitely don't want that to be removable. So just some glue. The concrete obviously will also hold that, but the glue was a
backup plan, I guess you could say, or I don't know what the wording is, but just extra safe, making sure it stays down. So the next step, once all of this dries, will be to sand the wood filler and then paint wash the legs and put concrete on the top, and then these babies will be done. So basically all the prep work is done, and now all the fun part is next.
So now I'm working on building the paint wash. I'm honestly just using leftover samples and what I have on hand and mixing it together until I like the color. Truthfully, if I could go back, I would actually do the paint washing of the legs after I do the concrete top, just so that the paint doesn't get ruined by any drips of concrete or anything like that. But this is the order I did it in, and it worked out fine, so there's that.
Here's what they're looking like after the paint wash on the wood. And it's fun because I'm kind of getting an idea of what it's going to look like, since this looks so similar to concrete. But I think they're pretty cute. Liking them so far.
Now I'm just putting on that drywall tape. This just basically gives the concrete something to grip to. This isn't something to be a perfectionist about. Just get it on there and trim off the excess and call it good. This stuff is dusty, so make sure you wear a mask so you're not breathing in all of the cement. Whatever you do, do not follow the directions on the box, because you will end up with a boulder in about 3 minutes. I have always made mine a little runnier than what the box says, but this time I went a lot runnier, and that was the best thing I've ever done. It went on so easily. Another happy accident is that I just have these popsicle sticks on hand. They're like jumbo sized. That has been incredible as I've worked, because as you see, it's so easy to spread around because I made the concrete a little runnier, and I can just throw away this popsicle stick when it gets too much hardened concrete on it. I do try to get this as smooth as possible, but I always sand between every coat of concrete, which really helps.
Here is what they're looking like after 2 layers. So pretty rough, and they definitely need at least another coat, as you can kind of see the outline of where the inlaid, don't mind my kids in the background. And also there's still some like bumps from where the tile underneath was kind of like bubbling up. So eventually when we have enough layers of concrete on here, it'll be smooth. Okay, so this one has been sanded just quickly. There's a lot of grit, like it's pretty gritty, but you can tell like it still needs more sanding for sure. But that was maybe 15 seconds of sanding, and this is not sanded. So it does make a pretty big difference. Since I'm not done yet, I haven't done like my last coat of concrete, I'm not gonna get this perfect since it's just gonna be covered up again. But I do think it's helpful to do a quick sand before you go and put another layer of concrete on, and then sand the heck out of it on your last layer.
Fair warning, sanding the concrete is so dusty and everything nearby will look a lot like this.
Truthfully, I thought that I was going to be able to finish these tables before today's video, but I ran out of time. So there's going to be a part 2 where I show you how to finish these feather finish concrete tables without them looking like blotchy and weird, and how I seal them, and what products I use for that. So that will be next week. So make sure to subscribe so that you can see part 2. I feel like it's maybe the most important part. So coming soon.